There is a massive behind-the-scenes possibility regarding Jason Morgan's highly anticipated return in the 16,000th episode. We all saw him come back to town as a profoundly changed man, someone who seems completely detached from his former life in sunny Corinthos' organization. The official narrative being pushed by the writers and the characters on the show is that his time in WSB captivity simply altered his perspective on life and violence. But an unconfirmed piece of information is floating around, suggesting a massive hidden agenda. What if Jason's cold, distant demeanor has absolutely nothing to do with being physically tortured or wanting a peaceful life for Danny? A secret just got leaked. A secret that someone at the absolute highest levels of the WSB is trying desperately to keep buried. We are talking about a revelation so explosive that it would rewrite decades of history. Everyone assumes that Jason was just subjected to standard WSB psychological manipulation. Most viewers believe that the physical and mental toll of his captivity simply broke his spirit, making him want to step away from the mob to protect his family. The obvious explanation seems to be that Jason is suffering from severe post-traumatic stress disorder, or perhaps some form of brainwashing that has dulled his emotional connections to Carly Spencer, Sonny Corinthos, and even his son, Danny Morgan. We see him acting aloof, avoiding deep conversations, and constantly scanning his environment like a cornered animal waiting for an attack. The whole town thinks he is just traumatized and needs time to heal. But what if we are looking at this the wrong way? What if Jason is not broken at all? What if his silence is not a symptom of trauma, but a calculated, desperate move to protect the most shocking secret in the history of the WSB? What if that wasn't the real reason Jason changed? What if someone planned this entire scenario to keep him perfectly under control? Let me throw an alternative story your way, based on some wild insider buzz that has been circulating. Imagine Jason is locked away in a top secret, heavily guarded WSB facility. During a momentary lapse in security, or perhaps during a daring, desperate escape attempt through the facility's underground levels, he breaches a highly classified server room. He isn't looking for global intelligence. He is just looking for a blueprint or a way out. But then he stumbles upon two specific digital files in the restricted archives. One file is labeled with the name Sam McCall. The other file is labeled Emily Quartermain. At first, Jason probably thought these were just historical archives, records of the women he loved and lost, perhaps used by the WSB to psychologically profile him. But then, the insider speculation suggests he opened the files and saw live, real-time surveillance footage. Footage dated just weeks ago. In that grainy, undeniable video feed, Sam McCall is alive. And even more shockingly, Emily Quartermain is alive. Just let that sink in for a moment. The rumor is that both of these incredible women never actually died. Their tragic deaths were nothing more than a perfectly orchestrated theatrical performance staged by the WSB. We are talking about the WSB utilizing top-tier medical professionals to fabricate forensic reports, alter DNA registry data, and manipulate hospital staff to convince the entire world and Jason that Sam and Emily were gone forever. The moment Jason saw that footage, he must have been paralyzed with a kind of shock and horror that no amount of physical torture could ever induce. But why would the WSB do this? There may be more going on here than just holding hostages for leverage. I keep wondering whether Sam and Emily were taken to be the central subjects of a top secret Black Ops program that has been running in the shadows for over 2 decades. Think about their unique backgrounds. Sam has an extensive history navigating dangerous organizations, pulling off heists, and surviving impossible odds. Emily, on the other hand, possessed brilliant medical knowledge and the highly coveted Quartermain genetic lineage, QT lineage. By combining their unique traits, the WSB could be creating living assets that they never want the public to discover. And this perfectly explains Jason's terrifying silence since returning to Port Charles. Why didn't he immediately run to Sonny, Carly, or Dante Falconeri with this explosive truth? Because the WSB issued a threat that was infinitely more cruel than any physical violence. They looked Jason dead in the eye and told him that if he breathes a single word of this to anyone in Port Charles, Sam and Emily will die for real this time, and their blood will be on his hands. Furthermore, the WSB had a foolproof contingency plan. If Jason tried to blow the whistle, the agency would release fabricated medical evaluations claiming Jason suffered a total psychotic break during his captivity. They would paint him as a paranoid schizophrenic having delusions about dead loved ones. No one in Port Charles would believe him. They would just look at him with pity, thinking his mind had finally snapped under the pressure. So Jason is forced to play the part of the broken man. He has to act cold. He has to act distant. He observes everyone, but says absolutely nothing, knowing that a single misplaced word could trigger the execution of the two women who mean the most. He isn't pushing Carly and Sonny away because he doesn't love them. He is doing it because he is fighting a shadow war against an organization with power that dwarfs the Corinthos Syndicate. This unconfirmed information opens up several terrifying possibilities about what the WSB is actually doing with Sam and Emily. We have to look at multiple scenarios here, because the WSB never does anything without layers of deception and hidden agendas. The first scenario is that this is a highly classified biomedical project. With Emily's medical background and genetic markers, the WSB might be using her for a longevity and rapid healing research initiative. We already know the WSB and figures like Ross Cullum have been involved in crazy scientific endeavors. Just look at the cold fusion prototype and the fake Huntington's disease they used on Britt Westbourne. What if Emily is the key to a biological weapon or a miraculous healing serum, and Sam is being used as the physical test subject due to her physical resilience? This behind-the-scenes possibility suggests they are essentially lab rats in a nightmare scenario, kept alive only to further the WSB's twisted scientific goals. The second scenario completely shifts the focus from science to espionage. What if the WSB is running the ultimate operative training and memory wiping program? Sam McCall is already a legendary survivor with a dark past. If the WSB managed to wipe her memories and enhance her natural instincts, she could be the perfect untraceable assassin. Emily could be utilized as the psychological anchor or the medical handler for these brainwashed spies. In this scenario, the WSB didn't just steal their lives, they stole their core identities, turning them into ghosts who operate in the shadows, completely unaware of their past lives, their loves, or their families in Port Charles. But another theory is the third scenario, the leverage protocol. What if we are looking at this the wrong way, and Sam and Emily aren't being used for science or espionage at all? What if they were taken simply to serve as the ultimate bargaining chips? The WSB knew that Jason Morgan was the most dangerous enforcer in the criminal underworld. By secretly holding Sam and Emily, the WSB created an unbreakable failsafe. If Jason or Sonny ever became too powerful, or if the WSB needed Jason to execute a high-level, off-the-books assassination for them, they had the ultimate leverage. Jason's current freedom might just be an invisible leash. He is allowed to walk around Port Charles, breathing the free air, but he is secretly working for the WSB, doing their dirty work to keep Sam and Emily breathing in their underground cells. But guys, if you ask me, there is one theory that is gaining traction that is absolutely the most dangerous possibility of all. It is not just about leverage, and it is not just about science. What if the WSB has held Sam and Emily for so long that they have successfully reprogrammed their minds entirely? Imagine the sheer horror Jason is living with right now. The rumor is that the WSB didn't just keep them in a cell, they brainwashed them to the core. They erased Jason, Danny, Scout, and the entire Quartermain family from their mind. In their place, the WSB implanted absolute, unwavering loyalty to the agency. The most haunting speculation is that Sam and Emily have been completely weaponized, and their final mission will be directed at Port Charles itself. Jason isn't just trying to figure out how to rescue them. He is terrified because he knows that if he finds them, they won't recognize him. Even worse, they might be programmed to kill him on sight. Jason is carrying the massive weight of knowing that the two women he would die for are now ticking time bombs, engineered to destroy the very family he is trying to protect. This isn't just a rescue mission anymore. It is a psychological nightmare, where Jason might have to fight the loves of his life to save his town. This changes everything about how we view Jason's return. Instead of just trying to adjust to civilian life, Jason is secretly running the most dangerous private investigation of his life. He is quietly tracking every WSB agent that sets foot near the Metro Court. He is memorizing license plates, hacking into encrypted communications, and monitoring Ross Cullum's old associates. Every time he looks at Danny, he is hiding the pure agony of knowing Sam is out there, trapped in a living hell, and he can't even tell his son the truth. Of course, none of this is officially verified. It is all rumor, speculation, and insider buzz. Maybe Jason really is just suffering from PTSD. Maybe Sam and Emily are truly resting in peace, and the WSB's only crime was locking Jason in a dark room for a few years. That is one possibility. But when you look at the way Jason is acting, the hypervigilance, the refusal to let anyone get too close, the silent calculations behind his eyes, something about this feels hidden. Could the WSB really pull off a deception of this magnitude? Could Sam and Emily actually be alive, waiting in the shadows as brainwashed operatives? It might be true. It might be a massive misdirection. But one thing is absolutely certain. There is definitely a much larger, darker story playing out behind Jason Morgan's cold stare, and we have not even begun to see the real fallout. Keep your eyes peeled, guys, because this secret is a powder keg just waiting for a spark.
Goodbye. Please like, subscribe, and comment on the GH Spoilers Daily channel.